Hi, I'm Kathy Ferris, stay-at-home mom, stand-up comedian, snack cake enthusiast, and a Regis alum. And this is OutRegis. It's a place where I get to connect and catch up with other alum in the comfort of my home, wearing yoga pants and a dressy top. Let's get started. Today we're catching up with Adrienne Hamill, class of 1991. Back in the day, she was known for her preppy style and upbeat personality. Today, she's a mom of a well-adjusted, very photogenic 11-year-old boy and TV producer with 2 Daytime Emmy nominations.
Happy Beanie Ferris, it's so nice to see you. So, OutRegis, what is OutRegis? Tell me about it.
So, what happened? Well, in this places where we're at right now, which is such a weird place, right? Where Zoom is now like the phone. I didn't even know how to do Zoom like 10 days ago. Now I have backgrounds. I'm like 2 or 3 times a day. I'm not tech savvy, but I got this thing down. It's crazy, right? So when this whole thing started, we were thinking about doing some kind of comedy kind of outreach thing. And we just started batting ideas around and came up with, why don't we start connecting with other people that have gone to Regis?
I
And
love
so Outregis came to be. So, and you're our first person, and I'm excited. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
We're
thank
gonna
you
start. And
for
since
having me.
we're alumni of 91, we thought we'd start with alumni of 91, which I cannot believe has been as long as it's been. Do you feel like that?
You know, I have moments where I feel 50. Shh, don't tell anyone. But then I have moments where I feel like I'm right back on that campus and I can picture and remember those
Mm-hmm.
days. And when I think about Regis, honestly, it is truly like if I am having a tough day or a bad moment, there are so many happy memories I do go back to at Regis. And I just feel like there was a lot of camaraderie and, and I miss it. I miss it. I miss it. And I'll have crack ups, you know, because I'm still really good friends with so many people there. And I think it was really special. I think our reunion was awesome. I mean, I was so happy to see so many people there. And
I agree. I agree. It was great. It's so weird because we're a little different in that the moment I met you, which was a couple of months before we started, we had to do placement testing. You were already pro Regis. I think you had pom poms and like the whole. I
they
was
are.
I was so opposite of that, where it was like, I'm here because my parents are forcing me to be here due to financial aid. And so we both came into this in a very different way. But I think it came out the same way, where it took about a year, but then I really just fell in love with the place. I was going to get a picture of Maria Hall because that's where you and I were at first. And I don't know if you've been back, but Maria Hall now looks like this posh, like Boston sports club, where like when we went to it, it just looked like this large home that like a polygamist lived in, right? I mean, it was still very nice, right? But it looked like that.
It was a little, it was
Oh, come on.
cozy, but a little tired. Okay, you know I'm always going to be on the positive. No, it was a little tired. But we had Val. Remember
Yeah.
Val?
I mean, comparatively, like, no, it was a nice, clean place, but come on.
No, no,
Like,
but yes, but going
one
back
guy,
for
4 wives, totally.
when we went back for the reunion, and I actually got to stay in Maria Hall, which was crazy. That I was at.
Um, Talk to me about, and we said that, like, you're very enthusiastic and you're always pretty driven.
Mhm.
Um, and where you've come now, you've accomplished so much as a producer, nominated for 2 Daytime Emmy Awards.
Yeah,
I
I've
mean,
had.
that's just
Well, you know what was really interesting is that I think at Regis, two things happened. Our classes were small, and it was sort of like you were encouraged to be a leader. If you want to go for that, if you want to start that club, if you want to pursue that area of study,
Mm.
you know, we were required to do 2 internships when we were in school. I was driven. You're right. I did 4, and I had to fight for my 4th one, and I'll tell you about that, how that little story. But I I was driven, but at Regis it was nice because again the internships were encouraged. There was a really nice alumni network that was willing to like make the network work literally
Mm.
by introducing us to people. I think you were maybe in this class with me, a communications class with me, that we had the PR director from Hood, the ice cream milk company, come in,
Yeah.
Kathy Joseph, and she's an alumni of Regis, and she came in and gave this great presentation. I'm like, I want that internship. And I got it. And I was so excited because a lot of people wanted that internship. I mean, let's talk about it. Free ice cream, not necessarily good food, but you know,
Mm.
I mean, it was coveted. So that was a really cool experience. She did a lot for me. And
Mm.
that gave me confidence. And then I got an internship at WHDH. And then Eileen Prose, who back in the day had a morning show at WCV, came and spoke to the school at some event we went to. And I was like, I want that internship. And that was also hard to get. But I think, you know, Dr. Murray went to bat for me. Our
Mm.
team at the time was like, you fulfilled the requirement. You don't need to do another internship at WCVB. And Dr. Murray, Dr. Joe Murray, God love her. She was like, do you understand that like there are a lot of students applying for a WCVB internship from BU, from Northeastern, like schools, quite honestly, that are a little bigger, maybe a little more familiar, to be honest with you, in terms of the communications or even a
Mm.
Boston area
Yeah.
program.
Right. Yeah.
And Dr. Murray went to bat for me, and I got that internship, and that was the best thing that happened to me because after graduation, I was there as my final
Oh,
year,
right. Yeah, that was
semester,
the
and
first,
then I
right?
got hired as a production assistant. I mean, that was like class of '91. Like that was just like,
Mm.
and it wouldn't have happened without Regis or that chance meeting that talk show host spoke at our campus. I met her. I applied. You know,
Yeah.
that was amazing. That was amazing.
I
So
think it's kind of odd too, not odd, but you know, when we go to college, most of the time we go and we don't necessarily do what we go to college for. Like I
mhm.
was a graphic design major and I've only used it for my own personal use. Like I can make a really good birthday party announcement.
I'm sure you could do a lot
Like,
more than that. Actually, I know
yeah.
you.
But like for you, this is exactly what you went to school for. You
Mhm.
got something right out of it. And in 91, it was not, the economy was really bad. At
Yeah.
the time, there wasn't a lot out there. So that's really, I find that to be really cool that,
I
uh,
feel very fortunate. Again, I really do appreciate Regis because I do feel like because again I go back to the fact that it was a smaller school and we were really encouraged to pursue our passions and to find those opportunities. And honestly, like yeah, I was pretty focused on finding a job in television. I don't know why. I've just been
I know
fascinated
you were.
forever.
Right. And
Yeah.
good for you. Good for you. First of all, for you to do this with me, be one of our first, I'm excited about that. One of the reasons is because we're both really comfortable with failing. Like, all right, let's just see
Yeah.
how this goes. We don't have to look, this doesn't have to look perfect, even though we look perfect. And, and we, you know, we're going to stumble through it and that's fine. And it's such a vulnerable skill to be able to have. And you pick that up right away. Like, oh yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times like that there have been failures that when you don't look at it that way and you're not afraid of failing, then for some, you know, lots of great stuff can come from it.
I think if you don't, it's sometimes really easy and it's easier said than done. And I have these moments too, like we're all just people, and I definitely have moments where I'm like, there's no way I want to do that. Like, I don't think I can do that. Like, I'm nervous about that. Sometimes I get called at a job and it's exciting and I'm thinking like, this is exciting. It's a lot of responsibility. Certain jobs are more lucrative than others, and when it's a lucrative job, you're like, oh my God, I really can't. I can't.
You have that high where you're like, yes, yes, and you get off the phone and you're like 5 minutes, then you're like, wait till I find out who I am. I cannot do this.
I mean, I have those moments, but by the same token, I go back and, again, as I mentioned, my parents were teachers, and I feel like, when you have a good, you have a good education and you're prepared and you do the basics, I'm saying, like, you might fail and you might mess up. And, I've had experiences that have both been high and low. I've had experiences where, like, you're almost, not to be too cavalier. No. Not to be too cavalier, but it's like, you've got it and you're amazing and you're doing a great job. And then you might go to the next job and be doing the same things. And it's like, for some reason, you don't like mesh with the same, people. I remember having a conversation with a really good producer friend of mine, and we were working on the same project together, and we were both having trouble with someone we were working with. And I finally just said, like, I don't understand. Like, I usually get along pretty well with people. Like, I could figure it out. And she was like, Adrienne, that's because you don't speak. And I was like,
Name names.
oh, okay.
If I guess, will you tell us? I like that. That's so true, though. Like, sometimes it's like you're just not going to vibe with somebody. It's just not going to be there. It's not going to be
there. And, and that's okay too. And, sometimes it's figuring out a way to work with that. And I always just feel like, though, no matter what, I make the commitment. I'm still going to do my best. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to do the job. Like, I'm not going to, not a quitter. It might be hard. I have an 11-year-old, and he sometimes is like, this, what, and whatever. And I'm like, whoa, like, we made the commitment. We're gonna, it's like, you still got to finish it up. So, I mean, but I'm not really afraid of I'm not always so afraid of failing. I don't think you ever really totally fail per se. I just never really want to let anybody down. That's kind of like, that's really more of my that's my nature. So yeah.
I think everybody feels that way. My thing is that I don't, with doing comedy, I don't want to look stupid, or I don't want to feel silly. And when you're vulnerable, it's really hard to like back that up. You know what I mean?
Well, I give you a ton of credit. Because that is a really difficult thing to do, to like put yourself out there. You're in front of all these people. I know you're prepared. I mean, take me through, like, how do you do it? Because that is really different. When I'm really mostly behind the scenes, not on camera. Once in a while I'm on camera, like if somebody, doesn't show up or whatever. And I don't mind doing it because I'm like, fine, like, let's go. Because I'm just like, I'm a can-do kind of person. That's probably the biggest thing. But what you do is, like, you're putting yourself in front of this audience of people. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can you see them when you're up on the stage? Like, can you see out in the audience, or like, is it dim, or does it change?
It depends on where it is.
You? Okay.
Typically, like if it's, like a typical club or whatever, you can see the first 2 rows. Mm-hmm. I do like to see people because you can read more from people's faces than
I see what you're saying.
Sometimes they're quiet, but
that's got to be scary too. You're like, oh, that didn't go over.
Yeah, right. Believe me. That happens.
Do you have like a ritual, like before you get out there, like if anything, like?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. Like, yeah, I know I can do this. Even though you get something, you're excited about it, then you're nervous about it, and then you go into your thing, and you're definitely going to go into your process of like, I know I can do this. Mm-hmm. I have lots of reminders that I've done it before, right? And then I just get real quiet and real into myself. I step away from the green room, usually a lot of people, a lot of energy, and then I just go out there. Yeah.
So when I think back on you, and I think back on you and Regis, and really, what you really being one of my close friends all the way through,
Thank you. I was wondering when you were going to admit that we're close friends. So.
I mean, I remember when you were dating Jeff, and now your husband, and I mean, I remember the whole thing. But I feel like you always had this wonderful ability to be funny and to make people laugh. Like you could just say something that sometimes, I am a pretty, as you said, a rather focused person, literal. I mean, I'm silly. I'm definitely silly, but like when I'm in the zone, like I'm in the zone, and I can be a little bit serious or what have you, and you could just say something so deadpan at points, like you were totally being funny, but I'd be like, "Are you serious?" And they're like, "I'm whatever." And I was like, but you had an ability to really always have humor and find humor. I mean, and I don't know if that's total. I mean, I think that is totally your personality. But what do you think it was about Regis that even made you kind of grow into that a little more? Because I do feel like some of I mean, you got to admit, you came away with a lot of material.
What do you turn into about me? I think I'm going to do that with every interview. How do we just make it about? That's really nice you say. I will say first off that I think that everybody's stuff is nerve-wracking. When I look at your job, I think I don't know how you could do something like that where you have to have all these balls in the air and producing, and you've got this pressure to get to produce this thing, but also to have this vision in your head, basically a storybook of what you're doing. I can't comprehend that stuff. But to answer your question, yeah, I completely think it was just doing drama. Like I had never done any of that before, and it was part of communications, right? So I had to take a class, and I just really liked it for no other reason than I was never going to pursue it. I was never going to do anything with it. I really just enjoyed it.
Little did you know.
Little did I know. 19 years after graduation, I would run with it.
Oh God. It's funny. I did have to take a little crack today at the yearbook.
Oh yeah.
There's some really great hair in here. There's some
lots of great hair, right? I kind of miss it.
There's some very interesting makeup also, but
I don't know. I think we're a pretty good looking class.
I just, I love thinking about it, and I was kind of looking back on it today, and actually, the president at Regis when we were there, oh my goodness, was Sister Therese Higgins. Do you remember?
Yeah,
her?
I loved her.
She was like tiny but mighty, right? I mean, she was petite. She was petite, and I'll tell you something that I took away. Remember back in the day. Oh. So one of our big deals, when we were all just sort of like kind of like crawling to the finish line around Christmas, crawling. Yeah. Like there was always like a nice like holiday meal and in college and campus hall, like in the cafeteria. And she gave a speech one night, and I'll tell you something. This is true. She was encouraging all of us to hang in there. We were in the home stretch, like everybody's tired. You've had it. You just want to go home, blah, blah, blah. Like you're feeling like things are just a little stressful or what have you. This is something I take away for reals, is that when I feel that way, she gave us a tip that night, and she was like, you know what? Don't like think about everything you have to do. She's like, my suggestion would be clean out a drawer, pick a drawer, organize a drawer. Feel like you get a little like control, like a little, handle on like one little corner of your life, like not the whole
It was like the Maria Condon of the 1990s.
And actually, I have to be honest with you, it's something I still do this day. Like sometimes when I'm feeling just a little almost paralyzed with procrastination, and I feel like, not that I'm procrastinating, it's just like I just don't know where to start. Like I have so many things to do. And yes, people are pulling at you in a lot of different directions, whether it's professional or personal or whatever. And it's like, I know what I have to do, and I'm actually pretty good at making lists and stuff. But every now and then when I'm having one of those days and I'm just like, I take a moment, I tidy something up, I get a little handle, I sit down and I feel way more focused. And I will never forget that tip. And I've given that tip to multiple people.
I just remember that. I like that. I'm going to start using it and calling it my own.
Well, I mean, you are a Regis girl, so come on.
But it's so true. It's so true, especially like when you have a lot going on and you're trying to like either just get yourself together or you're, for me, it's about procrastinating and,
Mhm.
trying to get into a creative space. So that's a good idea,
What's kind of next for you, are you thinking?
particularly with the alumni connecting with
Mhm.
them. They're just open to like, yeah, let's try this. And if we have to tweak this, let's do this. But
Yeah.
just kind of get out there because, um, I had gone back to Regis to see Sue Darwin's um, art exhibit
Okay.
in September, which was amazing, in the Fine Arts Building, which was being built when we left.
Yes, yes, yes.
And, really fell in love with that whole facility with the Black Box Theater and the auditorium. Sharon Thorpe is going to be on one of our guests on, who is big in the theater. She's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
theater teacher. She
Love.
sets and stuff. And we were talking about that. And it really just inspired me to be like, yeah, this is where kind of what you were saying, when I was there and connecting back, this is what connects this. And it's such a beautiful
Mhm.
spot. And just the vibe there is great that I think a project like this, who knows?
Yeah.
Honestly, like there's so many things that just being open to like we're going to start it like this as a Zoom because we're in the middle of a pandemic
Mhm.
and this could become a full-fledged like musical on ice. We don't
You could
know.
be like the next Andy Cohen in the Bravo Clubhouse. I mean,
Oh my god, right,
come on.
there we go, let's do that. We'll have our own clubhouse. We'll have our Tower Tavern. Do they still have Tower Tavern? I wonder.
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, I think it's exciting. And also, you never know. I mean, somebody also might want to reach out and be like, I'm interested in comedy or I'm
Yeah.
interested in TV production or, you know what I mean? Again, it goes back to my little comment about like, making the network work. And I think that is kind of what's important, because it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, I mean, what's good about this too, and we talked about this when I first approached you, that this isn't so much about. I mean, we've had a great conversation about Regis, and we both really like Regis, and there's lots of great things about Regis. But this isn't like a fundraiser or like we're not doing a Jerry Lewis
No,
telethon
no,
here.
no, no,
We just simply like Regis, but
no.
in the same respects, what makes Regis what it is the people and the community, and that this is something that people could connect with, or you may have just given people some fantastic advice, um, on stuff, advice that I'm going to steal as my own and tweet after this whole
You
thing.
take it. You take it. You take it. You take me. Give me like. Can you share with me like 5 things people don't know about you? 5 things.
I like how this is what's great about doing this with a professional producer because she is just guiding us along. I love it.
All right, give me a high five.
I,
Give me a high five. First of all, give me a high
okay.
five. I want a real high five up here. Give me a high five. Give me a high five. Okay. Hi.
Right.
Okay. 5 things. 5 things about you.
Um,
And I'll give you 5 things about me.
okay, that's what we'll do. Okay, so why don't we go back and forth then?
Okay.
I'll give one, you give one. One thing people don't know about me. Um, I have terrible stage fright.
Really?
Yeah,
Is that possible?
yeah.
I'm gonna have to have a follow up on that, like how you cope with that. Okay. One thing people don't know about me is sometimes I'm actually, sincerely, I'm really shy.
Really?
Yes. I have mo, I have moments where I'm just like, I'm just not up for it. I'm just
No, I
like,
can see that because you're very friendly. I think people mistake people who are friendly and who are like socially adjusted. I'm one who's not. Um, as people that are, you know, extroverted and they're there
yeah.
when,
I am shy and I'm quiet, and then usually when I'm quiet and shy, or acting that way, like people think like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing. I just need a timeout. Like I just need
yeah, yeah.
I can be that way. Okay. Favorite thing for a pick me up kind of a snack.
Oh, well, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a snack cake enthusiast.
Okay.
Yeah, like snack cakes are my thing.
Okay.
I don't, I I would like to be an advocate for, instead of people offering people gum, they start offering snack cakes. Because how great would that be? Right? I mean, instead of like a stick of gum, here's a Twinkie, right? Oatmeal cream pies.
Oatmeal cream pies.
Yeah.
Oh,
What's
that's
yours?
it kind of can depend. I'm gonna be a firm non-committal here. Firm non-committal in that it's either like awesome fries with I'm a condiment junkie and I'm talking like ketchup, mayo, sriracha, like whatever.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I like the lineup. Or it could be like a total ooey gooey crazy sundae with like every topping on the planet. The more the merrier. Bring it on. Bring it
I
on.
would say too that anything that I'm having, always chased with a reasonably priced Chardonnay.
That,
I have a glass of wine every day.
that's
Every day.
great.
I'm not afraid to admit that.
No,
Do you have any guilty pleasures?
This Is Us on
Mm,
NBC.
yeah,
That is probably one of my that's a show that I actually thank goodness for on demand these days. Because back in the day, like
I
if you
know,
missed it,
right? Yeah.
but I do actually really do love the Bravo Housewives series and like people like seriously. I'm like, you know what? I kind of like I this is gonna sound dumb, but I mean this. Like I don't really have to think. I can just kind of get caught up in in a story and just kind of, I don't know, live vicariously and I don't know.
Oh
But
yeah,
so
you
it,
know what I love about that whole franchise is that it was designed to make you feel like, you know, it was like the rich and famous and you're supposed to be envying these people. I feel so much better about myself
well, I
when I
know,
watch it,
of
you know?
course. But the funny thing is actually, and it's a pretty quick read and pretty funny because you do appreciate humorous writing. Andy Cohen, who really, is the king of that whole franchise, he back in the day, and I chuckle at it. He, grew up in a very kind of conservative family in the Midwest, and he loved watching All My Children, and he was obsessed with Erica Kane. And he got an internship at CBS, and he like pretended to be like going to interview Susan Lucci for like a story just so he could beat her, and he actually pulled it off.
Really?
He pulled it off at some point.
I like in our podcast or our Zoom thing that we're doing here that we get the backstories of these. You know, a lot of people slam the Real Housewives.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself when I'm giving my kids advice, or I don't know, when they're having a hard time, I bring in so many teachings and storylines from the Real Housewives. Like I have found a parallel between, I don't read a lot of the Bible. I know a lot of it, but there's so many parallels between, like, if you take like Genesis and Adam and Eve, right? How he didn't listen to,
I love where you're
like,
going.
he just took that apple, he had no due diligence, he just ate it and then he blamed it on her. That's exactly what happened to Teresa Giudice when she signed all those tax forms. And then her and Joe
Oh.
had to go to jail. But then she got out and got in real good shape and was third in that regional bodybuilding contest. So things work out, but parallels.
I see what you're saying. I like it. So who do you keep up with in our class? Like who have you been in touch with?
Well, Laura, who was your first roommate,
Yes.
Laura Fahey, and my third roommate, shows you how difficult it was to live with Kathy. uh,
Or Laura.
what did you
I
say?
said or Laura, but I was joking. I'm joking.
um, I will say, I keep in touch with Laura. Laura is actually one of the reasons that I actually got into comedy, because she was so well versed
Yeah.
in. She introduced me to people like Elaine Boozler and people like that. So it's so interesting that she had
Mm-hmm.
such an influence on me doing
Oh,
this. I do stay in touch with Laura. She just moved back a couple years
you
ago.
know, funny. And then ironically, like Dawn Polito Morris, like her sister Michelle, managed comedy clubs for like
For Kowloon, she manages Kowloon, and she's got
yeah.
me in there. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, again, like talk about like connections and making that happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle Polito, she's the booker there, and she's so great. She's been nothing but
I'm sure
great.
she's been really supportive. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people just from our floor of Maria Hall. Um, uh, what about you? I bet you keep in touch with more people than I do.
It goes in waves, honestly. I think Dawn is someone that I always, keep in touch with. She's always also so very sweet about like reaching out and checking in.
Yeah, she's good with that.
And Meg, and then Nicole, and honestly, I guess the other unfortunate thing is we all are busy and living in different cities and different places, and so sometimes like today was Kathy O'Connor, Elliot's birthday. So like if I see it's a Regis, girl, birthday or something, I definitely reach out. Or unfortunately, like Nicole Amnott lost her father, a few months ago. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, but I think again, it's like you stop and you are respectful and you think about that, and that is kind of the camaraderie and the good stuff about going to a smaller school, because you really do form
Yeah,
pretty,
absolutely.
special friendships. I mean, I don't have a lot of friends that keep in touch with their college
Oh, you
friends.
don't? This is a good way for people to start connecting.
Reconnecting, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it can be different classes and different times. And I mean, you're right. When you think back on it, I mean, I was shocked when I pulled up and like, there's a Dunkin' Donuts on campus now. Do you know what I would have done to give like this arm and maybe part of this one for that
Right.
been on campus? I mean, I'm such a Dunkin' girl. I mean, like, oh, I'm like, that's such a great addition. That's awesome. And
Or like you were that way just to have men on campus. What I would have done on campus.
do they still have Tower Tavern? I don't even know. Does that even exist anymore? Remember the
I don't know if they need it.
tickets and
I don't know if they need it.
chocolate parties and but we had it was a lot of fun, a lot of good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. What's
Tell me about you. So I know you've been married a long time now. Give me like the stats, ages, stages of your kids.
I was thinking about this the other day, April 21st coming up. 30 years ago, I met Jeff, my husband, at a keg party. I think you were there, or like
I was
you met him
there.
right after
I
that.
was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff and I have been together for 30 years,
Wow.
two kids, 24 and 21. It's great. They're awesome. In fact, my youngest, I was just talking to her about you. She reminds me a lot of you. She really is a go-getter. She's always known what she wants to do and just goes for it and works really, really hard
She
at
had
it.
to keep up. She had to keep up with you. She was like, I'm
No,
not
not
gonna
really.
I'm not gonna be
The
left
rest of
behind.
us are like, bye. What about you? What's going on?
Just have the Wilster. Will is 11. He's in
Yeah.
sixth grade. It's been like this has been an interesting challenge, for many reasons. And this whole online school thing, it's like, I'm not going to be, I mean, I'm a really enthusiastic person and I love it, but like, this is a little rough. I'm not going to lie. Like, and I love school and I'm like, but it's different when you are a parent trying to work on history. Today we're talking about Rome, and then we're working on Francais, and I'm like, and he's like, Mom, it's fine. It's at 3 sentences. It's enough. And I'm like, but do you think you could add a little more description? Like, do you think you have
Is
a
it
good
like a new math?
vocabulary? Oh,
Isn't it like a new math now or something too?
math is crazy now. I actually have to Google math to, fortunately, his father is really good at that. I'm not. I mean, yeah. I had chihuahuas, but no, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
All
How are
good.
you working and doing that and homeschooling?
Well, the work stuff, I've been a little bit put in park. I'm doing a lot of work right now for the mayor's office of Baltimore, but they actually just called me today because I do a little show here locally called Discover Baltimore, where I feature artists, chefs, like
Oh,
cool things to do in the city. It's really fun. It's kind of like the show Chronicle, I think is still on
yeah.
Channel 5. It's very much in that, vein. And they were like, today, they were like, we just want you to start thinking about doing, because they're going to really need it, the city of Baltimore, like doing a whole like small business owner series,
Oh,
and
nice.
really like because they're like, you do a nice job with that. And it's true. I mean, I love the mom and pops and crab cakes are a really big deal in Baltimore, and there are places who like say like I made it or I invented it or I have the best one or whatever. But there are people that are been in that business for like 100 years, like family business. I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. Like 100 years, this family, the Di Pasquales, and you walk into Di Pasquales, you could be in like Little Italy in Boston, and it's like the salamis and the cheeses are hanging, and the brick and the pizza and the prepared foods, and like, I mean, it's just so it's a little. I appreciate that opportunity because if I can do something that make people think like, oh, I forgot about that place, or I want to go there, or, I should really, give like, it's easy to go to a bigger place sometimes because it's easier or it's more, but it's the little,
Yeah, that's what adds the charm, right?
yeah, that's like the real deal. I love that. I love that. So yeah, so I'm excited. So they called me today to start like thinking about that. It's kind of a bummer. Like just before this all happened, speaking of women and women's accomplishments, I just started shooting this piece with Marin Alsop, and she is the conductor for the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, and she is the only female conductor of a major symphony orchestra in the U.S. And I just started shooting with her. And
the only one in the U.S.?
A female, yes, a female of a major symphony in a major city, yes.
Wow.
So I was very excited. In fact, she went to the Tanglewood Institute. She's from New York City, but she went to Tanglewood Institute in the Berkshires, which is the Boston Symphony Orchestra's summer home. And so I just started filming with her, and we had like a 3-part interview. And I'm like, will that come back? I mean, everything is kind of in park right now. It'll come back, but I'm saying like, will it come back when she's like, so I have these stories in progress.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that some of them are still in progress when this is over, because that's how it works. Like I film certain things, but like I'm not editing them right now because I can't necessarily go into the office. I do work with an editor.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get there. But they're always stories. Kathy, I love doing this. You are on to something. I love it.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think you're right too. This first because, for people who are doing this, just keep tuned in because I'm going to keep picking Adrian's brain about how to make this
even more outrageous than it already is. It's outrageous.
It's outrageous. Adrian, thanks so much for doing this with me.
Oh, you're welcome. Big hug, big virtual hug. Wait, cheers. Cheers, Regis girls.
Regis girls, we got our mugs. Yay.
Yeah. All right, Sipskis, I raise my Pinot Noir to your Chardonnay.
Thank you. Patty Lyons will be happy for us.
Thanks, Patty Ann.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for checking us out. To recommend an alumni that would be great for OutRegis, or to just find out more about Regis alumni, or Kathy, or any of our featured guests, click the link below, send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Come back next week, because by then we're going to have this thing mastered. And we're going to have Sharon Thorpe Doucette, class of 1991, where we talk all things Sharon, teenagers, and theater, and other really interesting stuff.